there's a richness, but it's very much a combination of richness with a youthful exuberance, right? Like you know that it's building towards the 16. You can smell the youth in it in the 8, knowing that it's on its way to take the throne, if you will. Welcome once again to another McIntyre's Malt tasting and review. Thank you for being here, Malt Lords. My name is Wade, and if you're anything like me, you love malt whiskey. So I want to jump into a whiskey today, and that is the Lagavulin 8-year-old. Okay, so let's pour a dram and begin the nosing. Very light. So maybe it isn't colored. It does seem a little odd to color whiskey only to do it that slightly, right? Let's get to the nosing and see what scents I can detect on the glass. Very similar Lagavulin smells and scents, right? If the first Lagavulin I ever tried was at a bar and I didn't know what expression it was. I had a dram and I took a sip and I was so impressed with the flavor that hit me that I went looking to find what was that expression of Lagavulin, right? So on my palate there was a nice beautiful dance of smoky and sweet. The first bottle of Lagavulin I purchased was the very well-known Lagavulin 16 in search of that flavor, and it was there but not quite what I had tasted. And so next, naturally, I picked up a bottle of the Lagavulin 8. So, and this again wasn't the expression that I tried, but I'll get to that later on. For now, though, for context, it's worth knowing that the smokiness, the peat, is there. It's very much a Lagavulin, right? There's like the element that light heather honey they talk about. Tons of that maritime smell, the salty air, sea spray, the tarry rope, the shoreline. Lots of minerality, very smoky, very peaty. A lot of the it's a bit sharper on the nose. A lot more of that youthful bite. The edge comes through from the younger distillate. You can tell a little difference, and on top of the increase in the ABV being 48% compared to 43 on the 16. Very much for me, the forward notes, the ones that seem to be the most prominent or at least present, are the maritime sea smells. So they're forward, followed by the smokiness, the peat smoke, and the heather honey, that light, subtle sweetness that's in there as well. When you nose this particular whiskey, you get a great sense of Lagavulin and what to expect. It's almost this wonderful anticipation of what's to come, right? A slight butteriness. There's a little creamy nature as this sort of sits in the glass, a little touch. there's a richness, but it's very much a combination of richness with a youthful exuberance, right? Like you know that it's building towards the 16. You can smell the youth in it, in the 8, knowing that it's on its way to take the throne, if you will. It's a lovely nose. If you're a big fan of those Isla whiskies or whiskies from the islands, very maritime, the sea time, those coastal notes, if you're a fan of that, the Lagavulin 8 is very much within that realm and has much of that scent hitting my nose right away immediately. Let's give it a taste and see what flavors we can detect. Oh, it has that that kick to it, right? There's a ashiness. The sort of initial flavors is a smokiness, like the cigar smoke. Then it follows through with a lot of the sea salt. Those maritime notes come through, that very much the ocean spray, and then the warmth comes through, a touch of spiciness, but I think it's more so like peppery. I attribute a piece of that to the ABV being at 48%. One of the best ways that I could position this or describe it to you, if you've never tried the Lagavulin 8, but you've had a Lagavulin 16, and this may sound obvious, but the Lagavulin 8 tastes like a 16 that's half done. You get to enjoy the journey that the Lagavulin is going on, is what I'm sort of getting to, right? You know that it hasn't quite yet reached its destination. It hasn't matured and developed into that familiar, mature, wise, old, rich Lagavulin 16. But you know that the 8 has the potential to become something great. And not that it isn't great in its own right. It's already got so much character, and it's very interesting and enjoyable to be able to get a sneak peek or a preview into that journey I'm speaking of, where the Lagavulin is on the halfway mark towards the Lagavulin 16, right? Some people refer to this as it's more bold and has more character than the 16. If I was to choose between the 8 and the 16, I would lean towards the 16. I enjoy the well-rounded, rich fullness of the 16. It's a really nice contrast to have the two and experience the young Lagavulin 8 and the mature Lagavulin 16. The sharpness on subsequent nosing now has sort of subdued a touch. It's like the Lagavulin 8 has become comfortable in the glass all of a sudden. So it started to mellow out a touch, right? The same things are catching my nose, but they've mellowed a touch. So it's nice, actually. This is very much, actually, when I first bought the Lagavulin 8, I won't lie, I was disappointed from the first pour. Going from the 16 and having such high expectations and seeking that. But if I'm strictly talking just to the experience from trying the 16 compared to trying the 8, the 8 at first, I felt like it was a letdown to me. It is probably 2/3 gone in my bottle now, and it is definitely improved over time. It's probably been a couple of months since I first opened this Lagavulin 8, and it has very much improved. The way I like to look at it is when you first wake the whiskey from its sleep and it allows the oxidization to occur, it changes the whiskey, right? Now, after a long time, that's not a good thing, but most whiskeys I find, they all fare well once they've had a little bit of time to open up and have that oxygen bring them to life, so to speak. Okay, let's try another sip and see if the flavors have changed and how they've developed while it sits and airs in my glass. Oh, much nicer. Very much. Almost like it's calmed down a touch. On the second sip on my palate, straight away, this time I was met with those heather honey notes, the sweetness, that joyous kind of delicate moment to just let you experience the true potential and what is involved and what's contained within the Lagavulin 8, right? And then it very much starts to, the smoke starts to rise, the peatiness comes through and picks up on the mid palate, and then the sharpness, that peppery, that bitiness comes through at the end to remind you of the Lagavulin's youth. You get a great sense of, or you get a greater sense of the distillery character in the Lagavulin 8 than you do in the 16. The rich sherried notes from the 16 are not present. It's very much just the maritime, that heather honey, the bite, the sharpness, the punch from the alcohol itself. As I said earlier, the character is a great way to describe it. I'm still more of a fan of the 16 than I am of the Lagavulin 8. At a difference of about $40 Australian, it's quite reasonable to pick up the 8 instead if you are that way inclined, or you don't want to invest the money in the 16, and perhaps you just want something a bit more lively, right? It depends what the occasion is, right? So when I purchased my bottle of the Lagavulin 8, it was $97 Australian, and generally I see it in that range of $90 to $105 is pretty typical. It's easy enough to get it in the range of 90 that I probably wouldn't pay 105 for. I would not turn away the Lagavulin 8, but as I say, being a fan of the 16 more, if I was going to keep any Lagavulin in my cabinet, it would be the 16, so I wouldn't be upset if I didn't buy another bottle of 8 again, but I'm not opposed to grabbing one if there's one on special or I feel that way inclined, right? With that said, here's to you guys. Enjoy your whiskey responsibly, and I'll catch you on the next one.